Hello everyone, in this video we'll understand the primitive data types in C. The primitive data types are character, integer, floating point, double and void, and the keywords that are used to represent these data types are char, int, float, double and void. The table here, it tells you the size in bits each of these data types occupies. So in case of char, in case of char, it occupies 8 bits, that is 1 byte. Int occupies 32 bits or 4 byte. Float 4 byte again. Double 64 bits. Void, it's 8 bits. Okay. Now let us understand how exactly these data are stored in the memory. Okay. So the first one is character data type. Every character is associated with ASCII codes, right? And these ASCII codes are converted to binary and they are stored into the memory. Now here I've just shown you a piece of memory and each byte has an address. Let us assume our main memory or the RAM starts from the address 200 and goes up to 208. Every byte is being addressed. Okay, so if at all I am going to store A into the memory, the ASCII value of A, that is 65, is converted to binary. The binary value of 65 is this. This goes into a particular location. This is how a character data type is stored, and it just occupies 1 byte in a memory. Okay. Next, coming to integer data type. Even the integer are converted to binary and they are stored into the memory. Okay. We know that binary representation of every number, that is converting a decimal value to its binary format. For example, if I take 12 is represented as 1100. Okay. Now if I declare something like this, int a, and a is equal to 12, okay, as per our previous discussion, integer data type occupies 4 byte. Okay, so this 12 is basically written as 4 bytes. Okay, so I have a first byte as 00001100. So the actual value that is representing 12, I just need 4 bits. Remaining bits all are filled with 0. So in first byte I have 00001100. In the second, third and fourth byte all are zeros, right? So this is called as least significant byte and this is a most significant byte. Okay, and we know that an integer occupies 4 bytes in the memory. Now I have just highlighted these 4 bytes, that is 203, 4, 5 and 6. So these are the 4 bytes inside our memory. Now let us understand one more concept here, that is little endian and big endian way of storing an integer number. Okay, it all depends upon the architecture. Okay, right. Now as I was telling you, 4 bytes are addressed, they have the address as 203, 204, 5 and 6. Now these bytes, that is byte 1, 2, 3 and 4, okay, they might get the address 203, 4, 5, 6, or we might have the byte 4 as 203, 4, 5 and byte 1 will be 206. That is, the lower byte might get the least address or the highest byte might get the least address. This again depends upon the architecture, okay, how the bytes are stored. If at all the least significant byte gets the lowest address, then such an architecture is called as a little endian. If the most significant byte gets the least address, it is called as big endian representation. Okay, now let us assume that the architecture has a little endian representation, okay, of storing the data. Now how will the data be stored? It will be stored as the first byte is here 00001100 and the remaining bytes are filled with 0. This is how a 4-byte integer is stored into the memory. Okay. Next coming to how actually the larger values will be stored, or what is the range of values that we can store in a 4-byte. Okay, we shall just have a understanding of that. Before going to 4-byte or 8-byte, we shall understand what happens if I just have 2 locations. Okay, if at all I have 2 locations, I can store 4 values, that is 00, 01, 10 and 11. Before that, let us assume I just have a one place. Okay, I just have a bit wherein I can store a value. I can either store 0 or 1, that is 2 values I can store, correct? I can just store 2 values. Right? Okay. Now, if at all I have 2 positions or 2 places to store the data, I have 4 different combinations, that is 00, 01, 10, 11. So how many values I'll be able to store? What is the range of values? 0, 0 to 3, 0 to 3. Okay, so with 1 bit of storage, we can store 0 to 1. With 2 bits, I can store 4 values, that is 0 to 3. Okay, and with 3 bits, I can store. Now with 3 bits, I'll be able to store the values from 0 to 7. Right? If n is a number of bits, then the values that can be stored into these position, it is 0 to 2 to the power of n minus 1. So if n is equal to 32, then the values it can store is 0 to 2 to the power of 32 minus 1. Okay, but however, integer data type, it supports storing both, that is positive numbers and negative numbers. Now we have to understand that how the positive numbers and how the negative numbers will be stored into the memory, right? We'll just have a look at it. So now for negative numbers, we basically call it as a signed numbers. When a data type supports storing positive numbers as well as a negative number, we call it as a signed number. Now obviously I need some space to mention this sign, whether it is a positive number or whether it is a negative number, right? So here a most significant bit location is reserved for representing a sign, right? So for signed numbers, we have 1 bit to represent a sign and remaining to represent a value which is called as a magnitude. Now let us understand the concept with just n is equal to 3, that is I just have 3 positions, and then extend the same concept for any value of n. Okay, so I have 3 positions and 1 position is to represent the sign. So whenever it is 0, okay, it is positive number. Whenever it is 1, it is a negative number. So I have various combinations like 000, 001, 010, 011, 100, 101, 110 and 111. The corresponding values, it will be plus 0, 1, 2 and 3, and corresponding negative values will be minus. Since it is 1, it will be minus 0, minus 1, minus 2 and minus 3, right? Such type of representation is called as sign magnitude representation. Basically, to represent a negative number, we have three representation. One is sign and magnitude, one's complement, and two's complement. Right? We'll understand all three and then we'll come to a conclusion which type is used in a computer systems to store the data. Right? Here the range is in sign and magnitude, the range, if you just observe, it is from -3 to +3. So the highest value, highest positive value is +3 and the lowest number is -3. Right? In general, if we write the formula, -2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1 2 plus 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. So if we substitute the value of n as 3 here, we get the value as -3 to +3. Okay. Now we'll see with the second representation of a negative number. It is one's complement form. Okay. So it is simple. It is just a reflection of your positive number by changing zeros to ones. So I have here 0, 1, 2, 3, and how do I write -0? I make +0 as ones, so I get it as 0 0 0 will be complemented. Complementation is converting zeros to ones, so I have 1 1 1, 0 0 1 will be 1 1 0, 0 1 0 will be 1 0 1, 0 1 1 it will be 1 0 0. Okay, again here the most significant bit stands for the sign. So the first four numbers will be positive, the next four numbers are negative. Right? Here also the range is -3 to +3. -3 to +3. Okay. Now in both these two means of representation of a negative number, we saw that the value of 0 has two representations, that is 0 0 0 and 1 1 1 in case of one's complement form, and 0 0 0 and 1 0 0 in case of sign and magnitude form, which is not correct. 0 should have only one representation. Correct? 0 should have only one representation. This is one drawback. The second drawback is that whenever I carry out the normal binary arithmetic on the binary data, for example, if at all I am adding two binary numbers, if at all I am subtracting two binary numbers, then I will not get a appropriate result. For example, if I am adding 1 and -1, if you just observe, -1 is in sign and magnitude, the -1 is 1 0 1. Okay, so +1 -1, I should get the answer as 0. I should get the answer as 0. But however, when I perform this arithmetic, I will not get it as 0. I will get it as -2. All right, the result will not come out to be appropriate. So the solution to this is to have one more way of representing a negative number or any number, okay, which has only one format of representing 0, one thing. Second thing, whenever I perform any arithmetic operation, I should get an appropriate result. Okay, now how do we represent a number in its 2's complement form? For example, I have 5, okay, plus 5. So this is 0 1 0 1. If at all I have to find its negative form, okay, I will take a 1's complement and add 1 to it. So taking 1's complement is just flipping the bit 0 to 1 and 1's to 0, adding 1 to it, okay, 0 plus 1 is 1, the other digits remains the same. So plus 5 is, if it is this, then minus 5 will be 1 0 1 1. Now just we'll understand the same thing with n is equal to 3. Now when n is equal to 3, we'll just write down the value charts. So 0 0 0 is for plus 0, 0 0 1, 0 1 0, 0 1 1 is for plus 3. Now with the same method as I just discussed to find 2's complement of a number, if we find 2's complement of 1, that is 0 0 1, if I take 1's complement, it will be 1 1 0 and add 1 to it, I get 1 1 1, so that is minus 1. Similarly, I have minus 2, minus 3 and minus 4. Understanding? So I have one extra representation for a negative value. That means the range of number changes here. I can represent the values from plus 3 to minus 4 when n is equal to 3. In general, the formula is minus 2 to the power of n minus 1 to plus 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. So the advantage of representing numbers in 2's complement notation is it has only one representation for 0, and second one is that the range also it expands, as well as whenever I perform arithmetic operation, the result is absolutely right. So let us take the same example. If at all I add plus 1 and minus 1, the result comes out to be 0. If at all, just look here. So 1 plus 1 is 0, carry 1. 1 plus 1 is 0, carry 1. 1 plus 1 is 0, carry 1. This one will be ignored because I am just considering 3 bits to represent a number. So in most of the systems, okay, given any number, it is stored in 2's complement form, right? And the range in general, it is minus 2 to the power of n minus 1 to plus 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. This must be remembered. Okay, this is very important. The range of number in 2's complement form must be remembered. Is that right? Okay. So the range, now just let us understand for higher value of n. When n is equal to 3, we just saw it is 4 to plus 3. If n is equal to 4, it is minus 7 to plus 6. 8, it is minus 128 to 127. Okay. 16, the values goes up to this. And 32, it is minus 2 to the power of 31 to plus 2 to the power of 31 minus 1. Right? Okay. This was all about integer data type. Okay. Next, we'll understand how the floating point values are stored into the memory. Basically, 3 steps are performed by our system whenever we ask it to store a floating point value. First thing, it converts a floating point number to binary. Second, it normalizes the converted number. We'll shortly understand what you mean by normalization. Then a bias is added to an actual exponent, and then it is stored into the memory. Okay, we'll see step by step. Let us take a floating point number 4.25, where 4 is an integral part and 0.25 is a fractional part. Okay, so we have this decimal point. Now, how do we convert this number into binary? So 4, which is an integral part, it is converted directly to binary as usual. So 4 in decimal is 100 in binary. Now for fractional part, what do is we multiply that fractional part by 2 and take an integral value that we get. This process is repeated until the value is 1.00, right? So 0.25 into 2 is 0.50, we take 0. Next, 0.50 into 2, we take 1.00. So the answer, the binary representation for 0.25 is 10 to the base 2 or 10. So 4.25 is equal to 100.10. This is the first step. Given any floating point number, it is converted to its equivalent binary form. Next, take one more example of converting 10.75. The process is same. Okay. The second step is to normalize this converted form. The representation is 1 point, that is this one is fixed, followed by it we have a decimal point, then we have a significant bits, okay, into 2 to the power of exponent. So whatever we got just now, that is for 10.75, the value is 1010.11. Now in order to normalize it, your first bit must be 1, okay, the first or the most significant bit must be 1. That should be immediately that should have a next decimal point. So I have 1.010. That means I need to shift this decimal place behind by 3 places. Okay, now since I shift it by 3 places to the left, my exponent will be 2 to the power of 3. The exponent will be represented as 2 to the power of 3. Okay, if at all it requires you to shift it towards right, then this becomes 2 to the power of minus 3. Right, now once I perform normalization, my significant will be 1.01011 and exponent will be 3. Here we complete the second step. The next step is adding bias. Now why this is required? See, the exponent might be positive or negative, that is depending upon how you shift the decimal point. Now we do not have explicitly to store a positive exponent and a negative exponent. Instead of that, we add a common value to this actual exponent that we have received. That is called as adding a bias. Now the general formula for that is bias to the base n, how much bits I have reserved for my exponent representation, that it is equal to 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. So this is a bias value that we are going to add to the actual exponent. So now if n is equal to 8, I add 127 to the actual exponent. So the normalized exponent will be actual exponent plus bias. So since actual exponent calculated is 3 plus the bias value 127, which is equal to 130, I take a binary form of it and store it into the exponent. We shall shortly see how the representation is. Now your floating point values, they are represented in this particular format. So the first bit represents a sign, the next 8 bits represent the exponent, the last 23 bits represent the significant. This is for your 32 bits or 4 byte to store a floating point number. So plus 10.75, here the sign is plus, so the sign bit is 0, exponent it will be, okay, whatever we have calculated previously, and finally the significant, okay, which is equal to the significant we just calculated it, which was equal to 01011. That will be the significant value followed by those many number of zeros, okay, until it reaches 23 bits. So this is how a floating point number is stored. Now what about double? Right, in case of a double number, double is basically a double precision number, that is extending your float to 4 more bytes. Okay, now in this case, how many bits are reserved for exponent and significant? Sign bit 1 bit, exponent 11 bits, okay, significant will be 52 bits. Now how do I calculate the bias value? How many bits I have reserved for exponent? 11. Use the general formula, 2 to the power of 11 minus 1 minus 1. So that comes out to be 1023. Right? So this is how the various primitive data types are stored into the memory. Thank you.